Our round table. And for the foreseeable future, as long as they're both available at this time, will be the League Pass Lair. There's Brenden Whitted on your television if you're watching, and Brian Geisinger in studio with me at bgeist_bird, at HU Cosell on Twitter. Now, this was not the plan beforehand to talk about the Charlotte Hornets, but I guess we're going to have to start with the Charlotte Hornets. So let me go to the guys on TV, although I guess you and I are on TV too, Brian.
Yeah.
But let's go to the guy who's joining us via...
Hi, Mom.
via TV. By the way, you see all the adults behind the Bally's set at Hurricanes games? I'm like, are you adults? I mean, stop.
People lose their minds on camera.
Oh, there's a camera. A guy making a call me thing, and you go like this, and it's like, whatever. All right, Brenden, are you pro or con get me a new coach not named James Borrego?
I'm pretty con. I don't think that he was the problem. I think management failed this team a lot more than the coaching staff did. Don't give all this money to a player that's never going to play in Gordon Hayward.
Right.
If you want them to succeed, right? Like you can't give what was it, $120 million or whatever it ended up being to a guy that can't stay healthy. If you're that salty about it, then blame management. Blame management for not having a real situation at center. Plumlee was absolutely not a starting caliber center on a playoff caliber team. So you combine those two things. Y'all don't make the playoffs. No, you're not going to make the playoffs with a team that is not constructed to make the play. Like, you did about as well as you were supposed to do. And the idea that Charlotte should have been better is foolhardy. Now, what I do think contributed to this was Charlotte's been bad nationally. And it's been embarrassing nationally in a lot of spaces. And for Charlotte Hornets Twitter, whatever hashtag that is,
right.
They've been bad national. Whenever they've been on a national scale, whether it's regular season or in these playoff games, they've been bad. Right. And that's embarrassing, and nobody wants to be embarrassed, because I think whenever we start talking about firings and hirings and stuff like that, we forget about the real human part, about the people doing these jobs.
Right.
Hey, no one wants to be embarrassed, and they've been embarrassed a couple times in some big high leverage sort of situations, and that's in no one's best interest. And so all that contributes to it. But if you're going to tell me, like, what's the problem with Charlotte, it's not Borrego. He's developed guys like Devontae Graham. Yeah. He developed LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges. Like, from a development standpoint, he's been fantastic. Now, if you want to tell me something or tell me, hey, this had nothing to do with what – because the other part is, if they had won a couple more games and made the first round of the playoffs and then gotten swept, Borrego would have had – his key card would have worked. Today,
I saw that tweet.
Okay.
I saw that tweet earlier. Let me ask Brian. 56 combined points in the two play-in game losses. How much are we here because of that?
Impossible to know at this stage, just from the outside looking in. I will say, if you are, I think it played a role, right. Maybe it was a big role. If you're making these kinds of decisions based off of optics, though, and I suppose, results too. They lost the games. But, like, these are $1 million decisions. Like, they just extended James Borrego last August. So, like, MJ is going to eat some money with this decision.
Right.
So, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how planned this was. I'd be curious to know more about that. If this is something they had planned out for weeks now, or since the play-in game, or if it's something that came about more recently. That's fascinating. What I will say about James Borrego is, pretty good coach, player development, culture at the top of the ledger for him. Brenden named some of the guys that the program has helped develop, but there are more. PJ Washington, Cody Martin. There were a lot of guys that came in here as second-round draft picks. Jalen McDaniels, guys that came in and got better and turned themselves into NBA rotation players, and a guy like Bridges, like a possible star, and the guys that got paid and are going to get paid because of that. Very good X and O's, good after timeout, play caller, coach. They just finished 6th in the NBA in offense, and they won 43 games this year. for a guy they just extended. The guys like that don't often get fired unless something else, sort of more frustrating or emotional is happening, I suppose. So, look, salute to James Borrego. I think he's a pretty good coach. I think he did a good job overall in Charlotte. Not perfect. There were some gripes I have with him, but it's important to remember the target move for him each and every season that he was in. When he first shows up to Charlotte, Kemba Walker's still on the roster. He thinks he's going to be coaching Kemba for the next 4 years. Then it becomes rebuild. And then that season gets stopped because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Then the next season, it's, hey, build the offense around a 19-year-old point guard. Also, everyone in the league is going to get COVID at some point in time this year. And then this season, it's like, hey, build the offense even more around a 20-year-old point guard. Also, we didn't replace Devontae Graham or Malik Monk. They're gone now. And definitely make the playoffs for us, too. And if not, we might fire you, even though we just extended you. It's weird. And he had to, the goals each and every season were different. And that's got to be tough for a head coach.
And not to mention, he was forced to start a Plumlee how long during the season. So I'm just going to throw this out there, and then we'll move on to the actual playoffs. But I don't find it a coincidence, Brian, that Jay Wright retires yesterday. And the Hornets fired James Borrego today, so I'm putting 2 and 2 together and getting 4. Jay Wright, when will the announcement be?
Any second now. I mean, I assume this is assuming that LeVar Ball doesn't want the job in Charlotte. To bring
never lost.
To bring the
never lost.
To bring the brand to the Buzz City, to the Queen City.
That would be fantastic.
No, but I think I also do think this decision makes me think that they've got an experienced veteran head coach lined up, ready to roll.
Hubie Brown.
Look, bring basketball Yoda, bring him in here. But I think it would be somewhat maybe Kenny Atkinson. If Frank Vogel would be willing after the Lakers just let go of him, those would be terrific hires. Maybe it's Mike D'Antoni. I don't think it's going to be him, but he and LaMelo would be super fun.
Mike D'Antoni?
So there are some cool names out there. It's just
I thought Mike D'Antoni's going to end up in Philadelphia after it doesn't end well for Doc Rivers.
But it's going too well for them now.
It is.
Doc Rivers is coaching his butt off, and they're about to sweep Toronto. Maybe. We'll see. Toronto's going to fight in that series.
Yeah, well, whether Philly sweeps Toronto or not, Philly's going to win that series. I'm kind of enjoying the fact that it doesn't seem to have anything to do with James Harden. So let's transition there to that series, because to me, that this is about Joel Embiid, who is I've never been a big Embiid fan, but the more I watch him, he is growing on me, and I love the versatility of his game. I also I think he's got great leadership ability. I think. And maybe it's that he says anything. He doesn't care, and I like that too. But I do like the fact that this Philly team does not seem like it's being driven by James Harden at all, and I'm not even sure he's necessary. Am I crazy, Brenden?
You're crazy about the necessity part of him. Like he's necessary for them to be a championship contender. I don't know what you're getting out of Harden now. Like he got a little bit of foul trouble, and he only ends up taking a couple shots in that fourth quarter. He's not the story at the end of that game. It's Joel Embiid, and then it's company. He is definitely the number one of that squad, and maybe that works better from Harden. Honestly, like, it's not that Harden had a bad game. I think he ended up with 20 points and 7 or 8 assists. Like, it's not that he had a bad game. He just wasn't as impactful as maybe you would have thought he would be. Maybe at this stage of his career, he's not the same guy. Because he has, for the rest of his career, since he's left OKC as a sixth man, has been the number one guy, and has run the offense, and players have been put around him. He's not that guy anymore, or at least he hasn't been since he's been in Philly. Joel is that guy. If it's temperament, if it's talent, whatever you want, if it's output, he's that guy. That's too good of a shot for him to get that late in that game. It's too good of a shot. I don't know what happened. Maybe there's some miscommunication. I got to go back and watch that particular last play. But Embiid is that guy, and he's willing to do whatever. Now there were some possessions there late that I thought that a all-star Hall of Fame caliber guard, which Harden is, would have helped them in those late game possessions. Joel catching it 25, 26 feet from the basket is not it. It's not. It worked out for them there. And it's fine. He knocks down that three-pointer. He's 37% three-point shooter. Cool. That's not how you can finish games on a regular basis. But Toronto doesn't.
It was a tie game, though, at the point. And that's my pushback there.
On the last possession, by the way, initially Fred VanVleet started guarding the inbounds passer. Nick Nurse pulled him off and had him stand behind the little stack formation that Philadelphia was in. So, yeah, there was just a clean pass to inbound the ball. There was no one in the passing lane to take that intercept or deflect the ball or deny it to Joel Embiid.
I believe that they did not expect a jump shot from Embiid. They expected that play to go to the rim, and I think. But he had
pulled that shot earlier. He had pulled that shot on the situation in the regulation,
But with 0.9 on the shot clock, in that situation, they did not expect.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
to be a perimeter shot.
They took Van Vliet was guarding the inbounds passer, and Nick Nurse, you can see him if you go back and watch it, is signaling and saying, no, stand behind the formation, get between the stack.
Blame Nick Nurse.
Kind of. He's a great coach, but that tactically that was not great. What I will say about Harden, he beat up Fred VanVleet in this past game. I thought Harden had his best finishing game in this series, for the most part, because Toronto finally stayed home on the shooters. In the first two games, they were helping off, trying to crash in. On Harden drives, he was whipping the ball around the lot, hitting out kickouts to shooters. This time they stayed home, but he's punishing Fred VanVleet, who is a good defender. I think his knee is bothering him. VanVleet looks compromised in this series. But all of this comes back to it's Embiid. What he's doing, there's no matchup for him. They've tried a bunch of different guys on it. They started Khem Birch in Game 3. That's a desperate move. Guess what? It didn't work. Embiid continues to just force double teams, draw fouls, create passes, create shots for other guys. They're getting great play from Maxey, from Tyrese Maxey, and from Tobias Harris. Salute to those guys. Tobias Harris has been solid on both sides of the court. But even Embiid, what he's done defensively, guarding Siakam at times, and it's taken away some of the stuff Toronto likes to do in the half court. They're already a shaky half court offense. They need transition to really amp things up. But to be able to take Embiid, your 7-foot center, and say, go guard an all-NBA forward. And can you take him out for a couple possessions? Yeah, no, what do you need? Game-winning 3 after that? So, again, it's been a complete team effort. And, again, the contributions from Maxey and Harris, they're tough when those guys are playing well. But, man, Embiid, what a player, what a talent.
Tremendous. And, I don't know if he's going to win the MVP or if Jokic is going to win the MVP, but
both deserving. They're both incredible.
With either of them, but Embiid has opened my eyes. Especially the latter part of the season into the playoffs. All right, I want to get through a couple of more series, and I don't want to keep you guys for the rest of the afternoon.
I ain't got nowhere to go, so you're good.
All right, well, don't tell me that because I'll keep you longer. The Warriors and the Nuggets. I like Denver. It's clear that without Murray, they're not the same team. But I do think that we are seeing – they're calling it the new death lineup with Jordan Poole. I look – Kendrick Perkins called them unguardable. I don't know if they're unguardable or not.
Kendrick Perkins says a lot of things.
Right, but they are Curry off the bench, and I don't anticipate him still being off the bench. But
Sixth man of the year. That's not
going to last.
This is the first time, but this is the first time all year that we have seen Clay, Draymond, and Steph, all playing at the same time, and they look relatively healthy. Now, maybe this is reminding us of what we should have never forgotten, that we're talking about two guys who are definitely going to the Hall of Fame, and maybe another guy who will as well.
Clay's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, I was going maybe for Draymond.
You're talking about Draymond.
Oh, Draymond's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's the best defensive player of his era. What he does to unlock the most killer, one of the most dominant lineups in NBA history for the stretch of 6 or 8 years now. With what he can do guarding, playmaking in the half court offensively, and then guarding 1 through 5 and being the elite help defender that he is. Look, eventually I imagine they'll I don't think you can move Jordan Poole to the bench now. I mean,
No.
I guess you could, but he's playing too well. Like, I don't think you can do it. My guess is they'll just take, like, Looney, who they love at Golden State, like, is more or less just like a spot starter for them now. So I guess they would just start small. I know that's a thing they like to morph to once the game gets going, but yeah, you can just start with Clay, Steph, Jordan Poole, who's on one right now, Wiggins, who's been terrific in this series and really all year, and then obviously Draymond Green. Like, you just needed to make sure that Steph and Green were healthy. Now that you've seen them healthy, and remember, Draymond back injury, like that was scary. I was like worried. I was like, and he didn't look quite himself when he first came back, but man, they look terrifying right now. If you're a fan of any team that has title aspirations, the Warriors have to be at the top of your fear factor list.
I'm not. Well, yes. If I was rooting, I don't have a team. Yeah. Right. I am teamless, which is really good. So I can just root for players, and I've always kind of liked the way the Warriors played.
Yeah.
So I am simply enjoying the hell out of the NBA playoffs.
I wish Denver had one guard. I mean, like, it stinks that they don't have Michael Porter Jr. for this, but like them not having Jamal Murray,
you don't count Jokic.
Yeah. They just I mean, he is their best guard. It's just it's unfortunate like what he's being asked to do. It's not. He was great last night, but they need one.
And despite what people would say, 37, 18, and 5 is impactful. I don't. I don't know what that means.
I will defend my friend Jay Williams. Okay, who said that? Right? I will defend him in this regard. Like, there were plays to be made down the stretch that Jokic couldn't make, and he won that battle all game long. And I was just listening to Draymond Green, who, by the way, I don't know if you guys listen to his podcast. I'm addicted. Yeah, like. A sneaky great.
Good. He's good at it. Yeah,
he's a genius basketball man.
Yes, sneaky great interviewer too. But look, I got beat last night. He owned me last night, but I made the one play. And
that's the thing though. Like that's what I think bothered me so much about the conversation about Jokic. First off, again, let me be very clear. MVP is a regular season award. I don't know why this always has to keep coming up, but it's a regular season award. Secondly, in this very one high leverage situation, Draymond was better. He was not better for the duration of the game. Not that Draymond played poorly, it just means that he wasn't better all game. He didn't have to be better. They got 30 damn near from Clay, Curry, and Poole. That's what happens when you have a better team. That's a better team.
No question.
And this has been my whole thing. If I put up 37, 18, and 5, and my name is the first name you say when you what's the problem with the Nuggets? No. Go somewhere.
No, I don't think he said that's the problem.
But that's what the conversation's about. He wasn't good enough. No.
You leave my man Jay out of this.
Wasn't good enough.
You leave my man Jay out of this.
All right.
The rest of the lineup wasn't good enough. Because they just don't have the top tier talent to stand and stand toe to toe with what might end up being the NBA champion. That's the problem.
Here's been the month of the way I've observed Jay Williams for the month of April. It has been him putting into the rumor mill that Coach K would maybe not retire after the Final Four loss.
That was unfortunate.
It was last week him and the rest of the First Take crew wondering, is LaMelo's time in Charlotte numbered? And then him last night saying, Nikola Jokic not impactful. Right. Like, buddy, let's just reel it in a little bit. Actually,
all right. I need